Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions and Brave Kids Books, where we have a mission to wake the world up to what's possible for healing, one brave word at a time. Here today to help me with that mission are a couple of the amazing authors that we have in a new book coming out. It's called Brave Kids, Short Stories to Inspire Our Future World Changers. And this is volume 2 in this magnificent series. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this one. And both of our authors today are actually returning authors in this volume 2. So you're also going to find them in the volume 1 book. Before I introduce them to you, I just really wanted to give a humongous shout out to our lead author, KJ Kashula. She is the brilliant mastermind and genius behind the Brave Kids series. Kelly, thank you so much for everything you do for Brave Healer Productions. She is also the director of Brave Kids Books and our lead author of this particular collaboration and collection of magical, amazing stories. And her mission was big for this project. And I just love watching this dream come true in front of our eyes with Brave Kids Books. So without further ado, I have NS Shakti with me. She is known as Natasha Sharma when she is not authoring. She's traveled the world, has tons of certificates, and has learned some amazing things both about herself and the universe, which she loves sharing through her writing and speaking. And Susan Thompson is here. She's a dynamic cowgirl, sharing her brave stories for the benefit of young children and bringing awareness of the bonds between human and horse. Oh, I love both of your stories so much. Susie, will you start us off and tell us about your amazing chapter?
Sure, I will. Thank you so much for having me here today, Laura. This is very exciting for me. My chapter is number 3, Sundance and Sally, The Journey to Becoming a Heart Horse. We met both characters in volume 1 as a young girl who lost her father in an accident befriends an orphaned wild Mustang foal. In volume number 2, Sally has adopted Sundance and must be brave when introducing him to the other farm animals and creating a connection from the heart. The bond between the two develops into a trust brought on by time spent together. Read about this special relationship created by the love of both horse and human. Their curiosity is about each other is what makes them become brave enough to allow a join up from the heart. This story will create goosebumps for young and old. You will laugh at Sundance shenanigans as he meets the current farm animals at his new home.
All right, Susie, give me the why behind this chapter. You have a pretty big mission in the way that you support the horses. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I'm in connection with a 501c3 that's called Heartstrings for Horses. And what they do is they save these little baby horses that are over on the reservation, and their mothers are gathered up and sent off to slaughter, and they leave the little babies behind. And these babies won't make it without people like Heartstrings for Horses that collect up the babies, and they give shots to a host mare, which creates the mare's milk, and then they can match up the little foals with the host mare. And they also, if they won't match up, they can make some um, formula and feed them by a bottle. And these little babies are trained to hang out with people and be nice and they're eventually will become adoptable.
Where
And
do
the
you
work they
do,
do is amazing.
where do you do this work?
It's at Granite Falls, Washington,
And you've been doing this how long?
for 3 years now.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love the story that you started in volume 1, that you're continuing in volume 2, and I especially loved the inclusion of the other animals and how you weaved that in. Will you tell us a little bit more about why you decided to bring those characters in?
Well, because Sundance comes from the plains of Yakima. So he comes where there aren't any other animals besides wild animals. So he doesn't see chickens and he doesn't see pigs. He doesn't see other farm animals. And so, from the eyes of a young foal, meeting all these different animals, and then all the animals reacting to him because they think he's going to come in and try to be the king of the farm, and they already have their little thing already, and they don't want somebody else to come in. So it was very comical. It brought a lot of comical things into my mind that I could write about, because animals are so comical when they're like that. And making stories that are interesting, including animals that are just meeting each other and very curious, and I just love animals. So that's the main reason that I brought in the other ones.
Well, you made them come to life and it was brilliant. And thank you so much for being in this project.
And my pleasure. It's been just wonderful.
Natasha, tell us about your amazing story.
Um, well, it is definitely magical, the story and my whole experience of ending up in the book and where I'm at. So I am chapter 24, the last chapter of the book. And of course, as you mentioned, I was part of BK1. And although I'm a recurring author, I'm not doing a continuation, unlike Susie. It's two completely different stories. Kelly had a vision for Brave Kids 2, where she wanted to have some dragon stories and she wanted to bring in all this magic. And I was like, oh, that sounds so exciting. And so she wanted to have two dragon stories, and series of events happened and we became three. So we have a past, present, future kind of a theme going on. Kelly starts the book. My magical dragon friend, dragon medicine woman, Atlantis, does the middle, and I'm the end, the last story. And the magic starts on a trip that I took with Brave Willow Productions to Egypt, where I bought this magical pendant. And it is from this pendant that my whole NS Shakti avatar really took shape. I became NS Shakti with Brave Healers, with Brave Kids 1, in fact, last year in May. And then I was in Egypt and I bought this pendant and I named this pendant Namati. And she became the heroine in my chapter. So it's about a serpent who finds her wings and becomes a dragon. It's a story of metamorphosis and transformation, and it pretty much just wrote itself as my pen name became a reality, a persona of her own. It's symbolized by Namati's journey home, her return home, her from becoming a serpent to a dragon to finding her magic.
You both wrote, well, gosh, the entire book. Like, I can't say enough about it. This book is magical, and bringing dragons into the theme was even more magical and fun. And the way that you tied that character into, well, I want you to tell us more about how you're tying it into the earth. Can you pull that piece in for me? I want you to tell us what's important about that piece for you, like why that piece.
So, in my journey of self-awareness, which now I'm getting, all the science is going towards self-actualization, all the up levels that I've had, and it really has been um, tied into my journey as an author. Every time I've written a book, a chapter in a book, my worldview has changed, my experience of the world has changed, I've expanded. Ultimately, the core lesson that I am working with right now, the message, the download, is the fact that everything is one and one is everything. So whether you talk about atom, a molecule, or whether you talk about the whole universe, it all exists at the same time and everywhere. So whether you take a grain of sand or whether you take the whole universe, it's inside. So the universe is inside the sand and the sand is inside the universe. So all reality and all truth is within yourself as well as outside of yourself. So that's that understanding, that awareness. When I saw that happening to me again in Egypt, I can't not talk about myself right now without talking about this wonderful transformative journey that happened in Egypt with you. And that book just came out last month, and now this is Brave Kids is coming out. It's all very simultaneously magic. So if so the fact that Namati is a tiny blind snake right inside Earth in the darkness, and when she bursts out and flies high, and then she has to come back in again, she comes back to the center of the smallest planet in the entire galaxy, and that's where she finds the truth of everything. So it's kind of this huge, big concept broken down into a fantastical children's story, planting a seed, if you would, without getting into the philosophy behind it. It's taken me almost 50 years to even reach this point myself. So I'm not necessarily pontificating right now, but I am inspired. And I think these small steps really do help on a foundational level for the young minds who will come across our magical stories.
Oh my gosh, yes, for sure. Um, okay, so first, just thank you to both of you. Thanks for saying yes to this, and thanks for bringing your heart and souls and magic onto the pages the way that you did. We do a lot of writing around here, and you've both been in my world, but writing for kids is a whole different thing, and and there's a skill to that. And I want to mention to our listeners that these are no ordinary authors that come into these projects. They have big missions and visions in the world, and they're experts in their fields, and they have messages that are important, I believe. And we're going to be talking about that in just a few minutes in terms of helping our kids feel brave. But one thing that I think is really one of the biggest ways we help our kids is to honor their emotions and give them a space to feel. And feeling is healing, and feeling is an awareness practice. So, one of the ways that I practice is through journaling. I bring the thoughts out of my head onto the paper, and I become the witness to my own thoughts. It's an awareness practice that really helps me shift my energy. And I'm wondering, Natasha, what's one awareness practice that helps you?
I would have answered this question completely differently yesterday than I would today.
Fair.
Yeah, I had a pretty epic experience last night, but um, I understood the importance of rituals. So far on my journey of self-awareness, I have sort of experimented with a lot of different things. And one of the main things is just being an observer to the thoughts in my head. And I sort of play with the thoughts, um, kind of like butterflies, and they flit and they fly, and I watch. So unlike you, who then takes that thought and puts it on paper, I just sort of stay up here with those thoughts. And the more healing and unlayering that I have done, and the more that I've stepped into self-awareness, I have realized how important each thought is, because each thought, whether it's conscious, unconscious, or subconscious, ends up as a manifestation in your reality. And the more you observe that phenomena happening, the more responsible that you will start getting with your thoughts, which is what's happened to me. So even when you're in a happy state, in a joyous state, and everything is all exciting, even then the thoughts that you have are very, very important. So it's important to have any ritual that suits you. For you, for example, is journaling. You can draw, you can paint, anything that's creative, anything that makes you slow down and be still and be in a position where you can observe those thoughts is important. So I've started from today setting up a little altar with the 4 elements and sort of channeling into my present moment and observing my thoughts, and learning to let go of the negative ones and amplify the positive ones. So rituals.
Thank you. These are, I mean, that's profound practice. We all talk about these things like they're just simple little easy things, but actually these simple things, watching your thoughts, taking responsibility for watching them is huge. It's world life changing kinds of things here. All right, Susie, what's yours? What's an awareness practice that you use that helps you in your day to day?
Well, I have to say that the connection that I have with my horse's name is Star, and she is my heart horse. And she was abused before I got her. And when I got her, I wanted to train her, but I didn't want to use any kind of a mean sort of training. I wanted her to understand what it was that I was trying to do. So this is the first chance I ever had to connect with the horse in that sort of a way. And I met a trainer that taught me about natural horsemanship and how you get the horse's permission to do the things that you do with the horse. You don't get on the horse's back until the horse gives you permission to do that. And in order to get the horse's permission, you have to have a real connection with the horse. So it's almost when I go out and I'm among my horses and I'm petting Star, my heart just goes from my chest into that horse and I connect that way. And she connects to me that way. And she'll do what I ask her to do. And she wants to follow me around and be around me because it's a comforting place for her and it's a comforting place for me. So when I have troubles or I need to focus, I just go out among my horses and I just start scratching and talking and asking them to do things. And animals are amazing. They have an intuition, and it's just amazing how they can connect with you and make you feel better.
Yes, and all of our animals, I'm sure people with cats and dogs and how, house pets are nodding their head. Instant grounding, centering love connection is how I feel about animals and horses especially. I haven't been able to tell this story in a really long time, but Susie's kind of giving me a window here. As a myofascial release practitioner in my physical therapy days, one of the courses I got to take was in equine myofascial release. So I got to visit a rescue center near Dover Downs where they rescued racehorses from that track and all the things that they were doing. And we went as a small group to practice our beautiful, gentle healing techniques on these huge
Hmm.
animals where normally we were used to a body, a human body, right? And we were doing our things. But the most profound thing for me was the connection you're talking about. It was the very palpable heart connection that moved many of us to spontaneous tears. It was, they connect so fast and intensely and furiously with your heart that
Yep.
I felt it. And
Yeah.
so they would bow their heads to be scratched. They would allow us to practice our techniques, right? And it was a profound experience. So I got to get around some of those horses again. I think it's so therapeutic.
It's very therapeutic.
Oh my gosh, yes,
Yeah.
beyond.
Yes.
Susie, I'm going to stay with you for this next question. It's a short and sweet one, but it is a big question. Why is it important to help our kids be brave?
Well, if I have to answer that question in a short answer, it would be because of the way that the world is today.
Hmm.
And it's different. When we were kids, being brave meant when we were going out on a hike and we'd run into a porcupine or we'd run into, something, we'd be out there and it was just nature and we didn't have to worry about the bad things that go on in the world today. And so kids need to be brave in order to handle what's going on in the world today. It's sometimes a very awful, scary place, and you're not ready for it. And these things come out of nowhere. And so the kids need to have the skills to be brave and do what is going to save them and going to, give them back their happiness. And I think
Yes.
it's just such a scary world out there now. It's really important to give the kids the tools that they need. I'm giving a writing lesson right now to a 7-year-old little girl, and she's so brave, and she just is. It's just amazing to watch, and it gives me a comfort to know that she's brave like that, because I don't think there's much she can't handle at this point. And so I think it's just everything that they're going to come across. They need to have those tools to be able to make it.
And I believe that you offer courage through your writing lessons, the equine therapy kind of stuff. It's so unique in terms of helping kids be brave. Think about the, even just the size difference of a small kid and the animal, and being able to be with the animals, and how you have to hold your own energy and all the things. So I love that. My daughter we had the resources to give her that experience when she was almost similar, 7, 8, 9.
Mm-hmm.
And that changed her whole little being in terms of courage and the way that she showed up in the world. And I
Yes, it
loved
does
that.
that.
Yeah.
It does that. Yeah. Emma, she was so excited about riding, and then when she got up on the horse, her eyes got big around and she was just like, whoa, this is a little scary. She didn't even think that it would be scary. She just couldn't wait to get on. And then she got on the horse and I could see it in her. She was just scared. And you just have to work with them and give them a little bit of bravery, and, move the horse real slow and talk to them. And pretty soon she's just a cowgirl.
I love that. I love that visual that you're giving me too. Natasha, how about you? How would you answer this? Why is it important to help our kids be brave?
Well, like Susie said, it is a big, very, very stimulated world out there now. I mean, every generation has its challenges, but specifically now with the whole technological revolution, with everything that we do being on the internet, with all the messages that come to our children, to the youth, on the whole earlier, for example, with bullying, you had to just deal with bullies in school. Now your bullies can come out at you from anywhere. And it is very, very overstimulated, is my word for it. There's just so much close to you, far away, and on a global scale. And that's why these collaborations are just so important, because in both Brave Kids 1 and in Brave Kids 2, it's a collection of stories that deal with all sorts of aspects and situations that a child might find him or herself in. And so with that one book, there's little seeds that can change your perspective on how you see the world. So bullying isn't my story, but one of my authors has written about it. And another one wrote about it in this book. And then there's the sibling rivalry, because even when any change is frightening for children, I know we went through it ourselves, and to understand that we just need to take responsibility for our thoughts and our actions. And with that awareness, we have all the love and support that we ever can get. And one of that support is the books that we write, knowing that people like us have been through it and we're on the other side cheering you on. Be brave. We're brave enough to share our words. You be brave to take one step at a time, and everything's going to be okay.
I love the way that you answered that, and mostly because it makes me chuckle, because I really have this last question for both of you is about that. What a great segue into community has meant the difference to me between success and failure in my life, in my business, in a lot of ways. Community, the connections that we're creating. So I thank you, Natasha, for talking about that. This is so much more than a book, y'all. It is a generous community. And I say with such confidence, you are not alone. This is about you being able to reach out, which takes courage, right? Sometimes. But Natasha, what is that, this community, your communities, what has that meant for you in terms of your own life?
It has been absolutely transformational. And one of the so this is a message for the children, for the older siblings of the children, of the parents who are reading the book out to their children. But basically, the biggest misleading thing that we have been told from childhood is that we need to belong, that we need to be part of this homogeneous blob. The fact that each of us are unique individuals, and there is no mass thing that you need to belong to. There is no sameness that needs to be searched for. Everybody is unique, and you need to find your unique voice, your unique place, and you need to find people around you who see that, who reflect that, who celebrate that. that's the community that you should be open to and then attract to yourself. And that can come through friends, it can come through families, it can come through authors who reach out to you from across the globe, it can come to what you choose to listen to. But at the end of the day, celebrating you. So when I found that a few years ago, my community of cheerleaders, of empowered women who were showing up authentic and vulnerable, is when I was given permission to be the same. I was celebrated, I celebrated them, and it has been completely transformational. So that community, but not a community that forces you to fit, but a community that celebrates you as you expand.
Yes, the word celebration is in my world a lot too. I love the energy of that and really just of everything you said just now. So thank you. Yes, yes, and yes with an exclamation point. Susie, tell us what that's meant to you in terms of your communities and how you have, you know, I don't know. I feel like I've evolved with my community evolving. How's it been for you?
I feel the same. This is actually my third collaboration with Brave Healers. And the first collaboration that I did, my sister was actually the lead author, and she introduced me to Brave Healers. And the people that I have met through this organization have just opened my eyes to what's possible. And now here I am 3 books in, and I've always wanted to write. And so it's given me the opportunity to do that and to meet so many wonderful people that support me and are there for me. And if I had a struggle, all I had to do was reach out, and there was always someone there to help me. And it's just really brought a lifelong dream come true for me, because I always wanted to write and I just was never able to know how to start or where to begin. And when my sister hooked me up with all you all, like you would say, um, it's just been amazing for me. And the subjects and the intelligent people that I've come across in this collaboration has just been wonderful. It's really brightened my life.
It makes me smile so much. I gotta shout out your sister, Dr. Ariana Platten. So Ariana, I love you, girl. Thanks for sending your sister our way and for everything she does in terms of the Brave Healer community. You have a really amazing sister. And yes, so once in a while you hear y'all, because I was definitely a cowgirl in another life too, Susie. That was definitely me somewhere somehow. I think I do believe belong on a farm at some point.
You have to come
Um,
visit.
definitely, definitely. Susie and Natasha, thank you so much for what you do in the world, and thank you both for being here today to share it with everyone. Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Bye.
So please, listeners, remember, I'll just repeat it. This is way more than a book. This is that generous community. If you need to reach out, you want to carry on the conversation you heard today, you want to learn more, drop down to the show notes because I have these powerful women hooked up with their links and contact information, and you can see all what they're up to in the world because it's a lot of amazingness. And also, you're all invited to our book launch party. It's going to be March 8th at 12 noon Eastern. I've got info down below about that. We're going to be celebrating with all of the Brave Kids Volume 2 authors, dropping some more wisdom and inspiration for you then. And if you happen to be listening to this interview anytime around that date, it just means you can hop over to Amazon and purchase your copy of this beautiful, magical book. And lastly, today, everyone, remember, your words change the world when you're brave enough to share them. So it is time to be brave. See you next time, everyone.